So about 250 years ago, in Amsterdam, there was a rabbi of Sephardic background. Whoa. His name was Rabbi Chaim Rosh Chaim Luzzatto. Now, here we're listening to the words of Rabbi Avraham Chaim Foyer, a person that I met in Miami Beach in the 80s. I don't know what he's doing now, but he's a tremendous writer. And he was a very powerful person at that time. He was just, really a rabbi's rabbi because he understood what that position meant. He didn't try to curry favor. He tried to get close to Hashem. It's a tremendous man, brilliant. And what he wrote over here is going to be about this book that was written by Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, also known as the Ramchal, called the Mesillas Yasharim, the Path of the Upright. Here's a section, it's going to start like this, the first 5 rings. He says rungs, rings, rungs. Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto's classic on self-mastery charts the progressive stages through which man must pass in his ascent to perfection. Luzzatto called his work Mesillas Yasharim, the Path of the Upright, and he uses David as his prime model of perfection. The author defines the many rungs of the ladder leading up to perfection. Let's look at the first 5 in the words of Luzzatto. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yoir said, watchfulness leads to zeal. Zeal leads to cleanliness. Cleanliness leads to separation. Separation leads to purity. This is a Gemara, the Talmud, in the Avodah Zarah 20b. Let's see some more. David said, Dovka nafshi acharecho. Let me get it back here. Back a little bit more, sorry. David nafshi acharecho. Be tomka yibenecho. My soul clings to you. Your right hand sustained me. A man enters the world only for this purpose, to attain closeness to God, to come back, to try to continue, get closer by rescuing his soul from deterrence and distractions. So let's go over, he says, the heroes, watchfulness. One should stay away from evil company, which is a prime deterrent to attaining closeness to God. King David emphasized this saying, Ashrei ha'isha shelo holoch ba'atzis rishayim u'v'derech hatayim lo oma. The praises of the man are that he walked not in the counsel of the wicked and stood not in the path of the sinful. What a person must do is purify and cleanse himself and keep his feet from the paths of the crowds, who are immersed in the foolishness of whatever's going on at that time. Zrizos, zeal. King David, who was grateful for his portion of zeal, said, Hashdi b'lismamati lishmor mitzvosecho. I was quick. I did not delay in keeping your commandments. A man whose soul burns with love in the service of his Creator will surely not be idle in the performance of his commandments. Rather, his movements will be like the quick movements of a fire. The most preferred divine service is desire of the heart and longing of the soul. In this respect, David exalted, Ta'arog al afike mayim, came nashi ta'arog elecho Elohim. He said, Sama nashi lelohim. As a heart, which is like a deer, yearns for brooks of water, so does my soul yearn for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God. Sama l'cha nafshi, kama l'cha basari. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh pines for you. Now he takes the next one. He says nikios, cleanliness. This man is clean of any trace of evil which lusts leaves behind and will come to possess perfectly clear vision and pure discrimination. He will not be deceived. David rejoiced in the possession of this trait and said, Erchatz b'nekoyim kapoi, v'asov v'chas mizbechacha Hashem. I will wash my hands in cleanliness and will go around your altar. Then it said, Befrishos. What does separation mean? Separation, more desirable than anything else in respect to the attainment of separation, is solitude. For when one removes worldly goods from before his eyes, he removes from his heart desire for them. As David said in praise of solitude, Mi yitain li aver kayona, a'ufa v'eshkoina avhine, archik nod nedod e'alin b'midbar salah. He said, solitude. Who will give me the wings of a dove? I would wander far off. I would lie down in the desert. Tahara, purity. Purity refers to perfection of one's heart and thoughts, as indicated in David's statement. What does he say? He says, Lev tahor bar Elokim. Create within me a pure heart, God. So he says, translate, Lev tahor baro the Elohim. So Elokim, he says, create with me a pure heart, God. The intent of this trait is that a man leave no room in his deeds for evil inclination, but conduct himself in accordance with intelligence and fear of God, uninfluenced by sin and lust. God placed man in the midst of raging battle, for all the affairs of this world, whether for the good or for the bad, are trials to a man. Wealth on the one hand, in which everyone in America is trying to get wealthy. Poverty on the other. Serenity on the one hand, suffering on the other. The battle rages against man to the fore and to the rear. If he is valorous and victorious on all sides, he will be the Adam Hashalem. He will be the complete man, the whole man, he says. That is the statement of the Mesillas Yasharim. Mesillas Yasharim is really a wonderful, wonderful book. It's certainly available in English. Now, the Chovos HaLevavos, he said, the Shar Yichud Hamaseh 5, tells of the pious man who greeted troops returning from battle. He said, "You returning from a minor skirmish to enter into the major battle." What's the major battle? The lifelong struggle of man versus his evil inclination. This is the struggle which David records. Now, if people are not familiar with the concept of the evil inclination, we understand that there's inside of us, which is the word that they use. I don't like to use it because it's very primitive, but it's the devil inside of us. And to control that devil is to clear all of the machinations of illusion that the devil is able to put into your mind, to keep you from what is really the truth, but it's not easy. This is the struggle which David records. He composed psalms in the midst of turbulence. This book was not written as a detached memoir of events long past. It's no less than a battlefront diary recording the fierce conflict between good and evil which raged within David and without, and in each one of us as well. But this is the battle of the king. The king who spawns all of these ideas of Chaim Luzzatto and so many. Often the style of Tefillim is erratic and abrupt. Often it is difficult to detect the smooth flow and continuity from one verse to the next. Sudden cries, pleas for salvation, burst forth unexpectedly in the midst of a narrative. He's telling another story. All of this demonstrates the urgency of the situation, the tension of the moment. So he says, Adoni Shema b'koli tehiyenu chaznecha k'shuva l'kol tachonuna. My Lord, listen to my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the sound of my pleas. David did not ask God to heed his message, his eloquent plea. He merely begged that God hear his voice and entreaties. He goes on and says, Maskil l'David b'hiyoseh b'ma'arat tefillah. A maskil. Now, what is a maskil? Now, seichel, to me, means mind. A song composed with intellect. So that's what seichel is. So seichel unto David when he was in the cave of prayer. David committed all of his vast mental powers to the composition of this song. What did I say? Kol el Hashem ezak. Kol el Hashem eschanan. My voice to Hashem will I shout. My voice to Hashem will I plead. Tehillim, now this is interesting, is not poetry. Tehillim, it's a cry for help. It's a plea for perfection. That's according to the Or Yahweh. We have so many people throughout the thousands of years who have commented. When King Nebuchadnezzar witnessed the miraculous salvation of Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, who were thrown into the lion's den, and they were thrown into a fiery pit from the fiery inferno, he was so impressed that he was prepared to recite before God songs and praises of such grandeur and beauty as to put the entire book of Psalms to shame. But an angel descended and struck him on the mouth. It's a Gemara in Sanhedrin. An amazing story. How could this coarse, evil tyrant, this rude, evil tyrant, possibly outshine the brilliant eloquence of our king, King David? And if indeed he could, why was he not permitted to do so? So the Kotzker Rebbe, it's a famous Hasidic Rebbe from the times past, he answers like this: of course, this heathen might well have composed poetry which surpassed the literary excellence of Psalms. There are many degenerate, immoral writers who can boast of finely polished pens. However, literary style is not the hallmark of Tehillim. Then what is? It's not so much that what David said as when he said it. One can easily become ecstatic when experiencing good fortune. Anyone can rapturously extol God when he sits securely watching miracles occur. But it's only the rare, unique individual who will continue to sing even when he falls. So think of the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, who's really speaking to the fallen. Even after he is crushed and beaten, God sent an angel to test the sincerity of Nebuchadnezzar's song. Do you really wish to make sacred music? If so, then you will sing even after the blow? That's the point. It's the right cheek and the left cheek all being hit. Is it going to be good? It won't forever. That's the world continues to turn. Throughout his life, David incessantly begged God to care for him, as a father cares for his son, to guide him on the straight path. God responded to this sincere plea and led David as a parent would lead his child. Couldn't we do that too? Couldn't we beg God to show us the way? Asapra el chok Hashem, I will say over, I'll translate, Rabbi Foyer will translate. Amr Galan b'ni atom, ani hayom yelaticho. What does this mean? I am obligated to proclaim Hashem said to me, you are my son. I have begotten you this day. God promised David that he would continue to maintain this close relationship with his descendants as well. Ani ekia lo la'av v'hu yihya li leben asher ba'avosav v'hokachto b'shevet denashim u'v'nigi b'nei adam v'chazdech lo yosef b'meni. I will be like a father to him, and he will be like a son to me. If he will commit iniquity I will rebuke him with the rod of men and with the plagues of mankind, but my kindness shall not depart from him. What manner of kindness is this? Plagues and punishing rods? What is it that when you're constantly in this world is one anguish after another, followed by perhaps success? Yes, there is no kindness which surpasses that of the father who cares so much for his child that he even beat him. That's the way to guide him to perfection. Any time the son strays and loses sight of his father's instructions, he receives a blow to forcibly remind him that he must conform to his father's path. So I think we're going to stop right here. It's going to be a shorter piece on the next time. This is Baruch Fleischman. We're at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. We're listening to the words of this rabbi. It's a very rich translation, Rabbi Avraham Chaim Foyer.